Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. In the last few days I've been talking about the change towards much more spring-like conditions that's potentially going to occur next week. We've got some real problems with this transition now. The Atlantic is trying to come in next week, but it's coming into that cold air and it's going to make a real meal of things, really, I think, through the course of next week. Now, eventually, I think we will turn milder, we will get that spring-like weather, but it's going to take 2 or 3 days next week, I think, certainly up to around Wednesday, for most of us to feel a substantial increase in temperature, and for the north, potentially, it won't feel much warmer until the end of next week, and there could even be some fairly significant snow during this transition, probably for northern England and Scotland, with more in way of rain, I think, further south. But it really is going to be a slow old process to get this milder weather coming in. So this is the GFS chart from the 6 o'clock run for Sunday the 7th of April. We've got the low pressure out of the Atlantic. This was originally going to just push in through the course of Sunday into Monday, bringing that change in the weather, bringing the increase in the temperatures. But now, well, it's the same old story, but we've had on and off throughout winter, and particularly through March, this low pressure is coming up into that cold air. It's stalling, and it looks as though it's going to move away. So this is 6 o'clock on Sunday. If we move through 24 hours to 6 o'clock Monday, we can see that low pressure has made no real impact on the country. It's made no significant advance into the country, and instead it's starting to slide away in towards France. Winds are back into the east, so it will be feeling very cold on Monday, and there's been -5 isotherm there strung out across the country, just indicating that the cold air is still there really for the bulk of the country. A little bit milder down in the southwest with that low pressure, but really most of the country will still be under cold conditions as we go into Monday. For 6 o'clock in the evening on Monday, very similar sort of conditions, really. We're still bringing in that east to southeast wind, so it will be feeling very cold in that wind. And the low pressure here in the Atlantic really has stalled, and it's sliding away to the south of the country. The -5 isotherm there for Monday is still over the country, so it will still be feeling very cold in that east wind. And there's the precipitation all going down in towards France, taking heavy rain down there. But that's showing no signs really of moving in across the country on Monday. So I think we say Monday it is going to be a day where we keep it really quite cold across many parts of the country. There's the dew points, showing that we've got dew points below freezing there for much of the country away from the far south and southwest. So Monday, that's going to be a cold day, I think, and there's not really much chance of the Atlantic getting in. Into Tuesday, we're going to try and repeat the performance all over again with this next area of low pressure trying to move in from the Atlantic. Does this one make it? Well, it does make a little bit more progress, but we've still got the -5 isotherm there across the country, indicating we're keeping it very cold, and really the Atlantic, the moderate Atlantic area, is making very little impact on the country. There's the precipitation for 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, indicating we've got some heavy rain in the south. That's coming into the cold air, so on the northern edge of this, you wouldn't rule out the chance of some sleet or snow, possibly the parts of the Midlands on Tuesday morning. There's the dew points, showing it again with below freezing, with those dew points across much of the country away from the south and the southeast. And the temperatures on Tuesday morning will be struggling really to get above freezing. As we go through into Tuesday itself, so this is 6 o'clock in the evening on Tuesday, that low pressure is sliding away to the south of the country again. More low pressure systems are waiting in the wings, though, to start moving in from the Atlantic. But for Tuesday, we've got a lot of precipitation across the country, so it will be quite a wet day. One area of precipitation moving across England, whereas another area coming in towards Ireland. And for the dew points, well, we are restricting those freezing dew points further north on Tuesday, more towards Scotland and northern England. But I think the suggestion there is that we're seeing snow possibly across southern, possibly across the Midlands and Wales for Tuesday morning, turning more towards rain, and that snow becoming more restricting to Scotland and northern England. But you can get the impression from this that it really is a very slow process to get the Atlantic coming through. Now, as we go in towards Wednesday, that low pressure that we have on Tuesday is moving in towards Germany. The next area of low pressure is coming in across the country, and this is on a more northerly angle, so this should start then to introduce some properly milder weather. And that's certainly the trend as we go through into the second half of next week. We'll start to push these low pressures more towards the north. The jet stream very slowly starting to creep its way northwards. So by the time we get through to Thursday, we are starting to bring some much milder air in across southern and southwestern parts of the country, but it's still pretty cold across Scotland. As these low pressures come through during Wednesday and Thursday, certainly won't rule out some sleet or snow for Scotland and Northern Ireland. But by the time we get through to Friday, then we're establishing this much milder southwesterly wind in front of the ice bars down. They're going down to the Azores, so we are pushing up this much milder southwesterly flow across the country. But it's taking a long old time to get that in, and as we go through into Friday, there is that southwesterly very much established. And look at the temperatures by the time we get through to Friday as well. We're up into the mid-teens, up to 14, 15, 16 degrees. So that'll certainly feel much more spring-like, assuming it comes off. The ECMWF is very similar, with low pressure stalling to the southwest of the country on Monday. So Monday was going to be the day where we transitioned into this milder weather. It's not going to happen. We're going to stay cold in towards Monday, and there's the evidence with the -5 iceberg there across the country during Monday. Into Tuesday, the low pressure is still really making a meal of things, trying to introduce that milder weather. We're still in this easterly flow really across much of the country, away from the far south and southwest. -5 iceberg is still there across all parts of the country, or nearly all parts of the country, away from the far south and southwest, indicating that Tuesday there could be snow around across parts of the country, particularly in the morning, and then getting more restricted probably further north during the afternoon. But we do have to keep an eye on this, what's happening through Monday evening in towards Tuesday morning. We do have to keep an eye on that period. As we go through into Wednesday, well, now we're trying to establish that milder southwesterly flow into the south, but we're still bringing the winds in from the east across much of northern England, Scotland, so it'll still be very cold up there, -5 iceberg. More restricted towards the north and the northeast of the country, not as cold further south, but temperatures are still struggling really, and we're still making a real meal of things to get that low pressure coming through. Now, this is quite interesting going towards Thursday. It really does deepen that low pressure like mad. It's down to 980 millibars there across England and Wales. And round the northern side of this, we could be bringing in some really quite heavy snow for Scotland, maybe down in towards northern England. So that's something that we have to keep an eye on as well. There could be a proper snowstorm across Scotland with that, if that was to occur, if this low pressure was to deepen, as this ECMWF run is showing. And then as we move through towards Friday, when the GFS is establishing that very mild southwesterly push, we're still in a north or northeasterly as this low pressure clears away, so we bring the cold air back. So really the ECMWF is keeping it very cold, or certainly very cold in the north throughout next week, and it's keeping it pretty cold across England and Wales through most of next week. It's only down in the far south, southwest that we do introduce some milder weather Wednesday into Thursday, but it's certainly not the mild push that we get on the GFS. And then beyond that, the ECMWF builds high pressure in across the country, and that starts to introduce milder weather. But look where that high pressure is going back up to the north of the country. So how long any milder weather would last, I'm not sure, as we're going towards the middle of the month, but we will have a milder spell if that's correct. The upper air temperatures have come up quite nicely. So it's a slow old process to get this milder weather coming in. That's the basic story of this video. It looked as though earlier in the week it was going to push the mild weather through, certainly Monday, Tuesday, and we'd all be into a milder Atlantic run. This isn't the case now. The milder air is really struggling to come in. Now, eventually, I think it will come in, but for the first half of next week, Monday and Tuesday, I think we're keeping it pretty cold for most of the country, away from the far south and the southwest. And that could well give us the risk of some sleet or snow as that mild weather tries to come into that cold air, particularly initially for Wales and the Midlands. That from Tuesday onwards will get restricted, I think, to Scotland and Northern England. And we do have to keep an eye out Wednesday, Thursday, possibly for some fairly significant snow, particularly for Scotland and the far north of Northern England. All the time that milder weather is trying desperately to push in, but it's a slow process. Eventually, by Thursday, Friday next week, we should all be in that milder southwesterly run. But when the models start delaying the milder weather pushing in, you do have to question whether the mild weather will ever get there. But I think it will. I think eventually we will turn it milder, but a slow old process to do so. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.